Welcome to the Truth Corner. My name is Kama Burton with Loving Me First, and this session is Because He Said So. When I even hear those words, it bothers me. Being a grown adult, curfew, 10 o'clock, not able to do the things that I want to do in life because He said so. And I just want to give a word of encouragement to those of you that are watching this and listening in, and you may be dealing with something like this, or maybe know someone that's dealing with some type of domestic violence, whether it's physical, verbal, financial, sexual, emotional. When somebody has such a control over your life and you live in fear, you listen to what they say. And I know a lot of people says, well, a person is stupid, or they're dumb, or they're crazy for staying. A lot of times they don't get support because they keep going back and forth, but they don't understand when that person says so. So the Bible tells us that fear has torment, and it's absolutely true. When you live in a household that you don't know when this person is going to flip, maybe they had a little bit too much to drink tonight, it's very, very hard for you to just say, I'm out of here. And I know there's a lot of people that say, you know what, if it was me, or it would never be me, or if he said this, I would do that, and I don't care what he says. If he says so, I'll be out. Yeah, right, I said that too. I remember watching things like Jenny Jones and Richard Bay and Ricky Lake, all these shows back in the day, and people were in some type of controlling environment. And I remember saying to myself, that would never be me. But it was me. I fell into it because he said so. So I had this curfew at 10 o'clock. Sometimes I couldn't go visit my family, couldn't talk to friends because he said so. And I have children, I have 3 children. And one thing about me is that I always explain my why. I tell my kids they deserve to know why they can't do a thing, because he told me it didn't matter why I couldn't do a thing, or I had to figure it out, like the what's and the whys. So I dealt with a lot of things in my marriage as far as control, just controlling in all types of ways that you couldn't even imagine. And I'll be honest with you, some things I'm not even ready to dig too deep into, because it's gonna bring up some stuff that I'm just not ready to dig up. But I do, even just thinking about, because I said so, it does kind of tense me up on the inside. Like even now as I'm speaking, my body is getting a little warm, a little frustrated, because I was so stuck on what he said. I remember I wanted to attend the funeral of my first lady, and I've been knowing her. She's been knowing me since I was 5 years old, and she passed away, oh gosh, how many years ago. And but I had known her for all of my life, is how I see it. So upon her passing, I'm getting up, getting dressed, or at her services, getting ready to get dressed to go to her services. And one thing about my ex-husband is he would watch me get dressed to go somewhere, maybe to church, see me take a shower, put my clothes on, and then he'll say, where do you think you're going? I'm like, I'm going to church. It's Sunday. You ain't going nowhere. Get back in bed. I'm like, why? Because I said so. And that was hard for me. Very, very hard for me, because it was, I don't want to say manipulation, but it was that control. So as I'm getting dressed and I'm ready to go out, mind you, we have about 5 cars in the driveway, 4 cars and a motorcycle. And I want to go and pay my respects and be amongst my church family. And he stopped me and he said, you're not going anywhere. You need to get back in bed. I was like, no, I am going. I want to go to the services. He said, no, why not? Why are you going? I mean, why do you think you need to go? You don't know her. She didn't know you like that. Okay, so let's back up. She's been knowing me since I was 5. She's been knowing me at least 20 years. You're telling me she doesn't know me like that, so now I can't attend? well, you're not taking any of these cars. So he took away all of my car keys. And I remember saying, okay, well, I'll just find another way. So I called someone from the church who lived in Corona, and I asked her if she can come and pick me up, and she was willing. And I started to get dressed again, and he says, where are you going? I said, I told you I'm going to the services. I got a ride. He's like, you ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody taking you nowhere. And of course I was hurt. And I just began to cry, and I called her and I let her know that I couldn't make it. And again, even to this day, it's one of those things that I wonder why. Why did I say yes? Why did I say I do? You know, missing important times. And although she's passed years ago, but it still bothers me that I couldn't be a part of that. So it was like an ongoing thing with my ex-husband, to where he constantly would see me do things, and he would try to stop me. He would try to stop everything that I did because he said so, and that's control. Nobody should ever tell another grown person because I said so. Nobody should be so comfortable in a relationship that they allow somebody to control them as they do. I know the Bible tells us to submit, and a lot of people don't like that word, but when you understand what true submission is, and you understand that when a man is submitting himself to God and doing the things that God tells him to do, then he wouldn't even have that type of conversation with his wife. So you got to be very careful and listen to the conversations that somebody is having with you. But being young still, being in a place of fear, you don't know, what this person may do to you. Things start going through your head. You want to be obedient. And I'm okay with being obedient to my husband when he's following what God says to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're treating me like I'm nothing, I mean, that's something that's totally different. Even the Bible tells us that, tells a man that he's supposed to, that he's not supposed to put his hands on a woman. To be honest with you, he says, are you going to harm yourself? You're not going to harm yourself, so don't harm your wife, because you and your wife are supposed to be one. And he wasn't treating me as that. He was treating me as if I was some kind of random on the street, which you still don't treat somebody random on the street in that sense. But he was treating me that way because he said so, because I'm supposed to follow, because he's the head of the household, and I'm supposed to do whatever it is that he says that I'm supposed to do. So I missed out on a lot of activities. As a matter of fact, I lost out on friendships. I had a friend of mine that I found out she stopped talking to me. She was mad at me because she didn't know why I stopped talking to her. My ex-husband started accusing my friends of being gay. So much that that's why he didn't want me to be with them. He would put stuff in my head about them, which I didn't believe him, because he didn't want me to be around them. Well, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I see. I just know what it is. Why do you want to hang out? All this is because he say so. So I couldn't have friendships. There was times I couldn't be around my family, and I can only be around him because he says so. So just listening to that and thinking about that, it kind of roused something up in me, because I'm not the same person that I used to be, but I was in such a weak place. And that's what happens. We get in such a weak place because of being fearful of the unknown, or being fearful of things that's happened in the past. I remember this particular time too, my friends, before we stopped talking as friends, a friend of mine had her birthday party. She was turning 21 and she wanted to go to dinner. We went to Johnny Rockets, and then we went out to to a comedy club. And so I remember leaving the house, and even when I left the house, I didn't want to go. I just was like, something's not right. I just feel like I just don't need to be there. And he told me, go ahead, have fun. Now, we didn't talk curfew, just go and have fun. So we go, we have to have fun, but I'm not feeling right. Next thing I know, I get a message. I think then we had cell phones, and he called me and he said, where are you at? I said, well, I'm out with my friends. And he said, well, it's 10 o'clock and you're supposed to be home. And so I said, well, yeah, you know we're supposed to be going to the comedy club, and I told you about this. He said, but I told you that you have a 10 o'clock curfew. You already know what it is. I said, well, you didn't say anything. Well, you know what it is. And I went on to the comedy club, and I couldn't even enjoy myself because at that point I just was like, I'm out. I said, I don't even have my car. He said, well, you should have drove. And so I'm feeling just like nothing. I mean, literally, I'm like going like this. I'm shrinking. And I ended up not enjoying myself. I ended up going home and just dealing with whatever consequences that I thought I was going to deal with. But thank God that particular night he got so drunk that he kind of let it slide. But because he said so, I had to continue to live my life in this sense of control. And that's my truth.